In this video, I'll be solving the 13th problem of JEE Advanced 2025 Paper 1. So we were given three differential equations and their respective values, functional values at x is equals to 1, and we were asked to find this limit. So like the equations are like pretty simple to find the functional value. So we are having y1 by dx minus sine x whole square y1 is equals to 0. So we can just like separate the variables. So like if I separate the variables, like I'll have dy1 by dx is sine x whole square y1. So that implies y1, if I bring it to the left hand side, so dy1 by dx, so this is sine x whole square. So in the same way, so I can also write the other two equations. So I'm having dy2 by dx minus cos x whole square, y2 is 0. So that implies 1 by y2, dy2 by dx is cos x whole square. And if we have like dy3 by dx minus 2 by x cube y3 is equals to 0. So that implies 1 by y3 into dy3 by dx will just be 2 minus x cube by x cube. So we're currently having these three equations, and we have to solve these three equations. So one thing that we can do is we can just find the individual values of y1, y2, y3. But like if we observe the question here, like we were given some like y1, y2, y3, the product of y1, y2, y3. And like we can also see, like if we integrate the left hand side, the integration of 1 by y1 into dy1, so that is like ln y1. And like if we add up these three equations, like this is like ln y1, this is ln y2, this is ln y3. So if we add up these three equations, we'll be getting ln y1 plus ln y2 plus ln y3. So that means we are indirectly getting ln of y1, y2, y3, the product y1, y2, y3. So that's the idea. So what we can do is like we can just add up these three equations to directly find ln of directly find like y1, y2, y3's value or the functional value. So this implies 1 by y1 dy1 is equals to sine x whole square dx. And the another way of seeing this is like when we add these two, like sine square x is there, cos square x is there. So when we add these three, so we will be getting a simple polynomial function. Like instead of integrating sine square x, integrating cos square x. So we can just add these three so that it's easy to integrate the polynomial function instead of integrating a trigonometric function. Though we can solve, but like it will help us to reduce time in getting our solution. And in fact, like even in the final question, they are asking about the product like y1, y2, y3. So it's better to add and do the integral. So y2 dy2 is equals to cos x whole square dx. And 1 by y3 dy3, so that is 2 minus x cube by x cube dx. So if I add these three equations, so I'll be getting 1 by y1 dy1 plus 1 by, so basically I'm integrating here. So I'm integrating both sides and like I'm adding. So 1 by y1 dy1 plus 1 by y2 dy2 plus 1 by y3 dy3. So that is equals to sine square x plus cos square x plus 2 minus x cube by x cube dx. So this is like ln y1. The integration of 1 by x dx is ln x. Ln y2 ln y3. So that is 1 plus 2 by x cube minus 1 dx. So that means ln y1 y2 y3 will just be integral 2 by x cube dx. So that is like 2 into x to the power minus 3. So that will just be 2 x to the power minus 3 plus 1 by minus 3 plus 1. So that means the integral will just be 2 times x to the power minus 2 by minus 2. So that means like ln of y1, y2, y3 is minus 1 by x square plus some constant. So that means like y1, y2, y3 will be e to the power minus 1 by x square into e to the power constant. So that means like y1 of x into y2 of x into y3 of x is just like k times e to the power minus 1 by x square. So now if I substitute x is equals to 1, so that implies y1 of 1 into y2 of 1 into y3 of 1 will just be k into e to the power minus 1. And we were given in the question. So y1 of 1 is 5, 1 by 3, 3 by 5 into 3. So 5 into 1 by 3 into 3 by 5e is equals to k by e. So that means we are getting k is equals to 1. So y1 of x into y2 of x into y3 of x will just be e to the power minus 1 by x square. So now like we are asked to find limit x tends to 0 plus y1 of x, y2 of x, y3 of x plus 2x by e to the power 3x sin x. So that means indirectly they are asking limit x tends to 0 plus e to the power minus 1 by x square plus 2x by e to the power 3x into sin x. So now like if we split this particular thing, so limit x tends to 0 plus e to the power minus 1 by x square by e to the power 3x into sin x plus 2x by e to the power 3x sin x. So this I can write it as limit x tends to 0 plus. So if I see this one, this is like 1 by e to the power 3x into sin x. So I can write like sin x by x and into 1 by x into e to the power minus 1 by x square plus the same thing limit x tends to 0 plus 2 by e to the power 3x into sin x by x. So why I have written in this form is, so if we consider this part, like this part is tending to 1, this part is tending to 1, this part is tending to 1, this part is tending to 1. So this entire limit will tends to 2. Now if we consider this one, so 1 by x into e to the power minus 1 by x square, e to the power x square it will be, e to the power 1 by x square because I have already taken it to denominator. Now if I convert it into, so like if we consider it separately, like for example limit 1 by x into e to the power 1 by x square, suppose x tends to 0. So the same thing as limit t tends to infinity. So if I substitute x is equals to 1 by t, so that implies x tends to 0 implies t tends to infinity. So that means it will just be t by e to the power t square. Now at any point of time, e to the power t square grows like very fast when compared to t. So at infinity we can, both will be infinity, but like if we take the denominator is like much higher than the numerator. Or like we can also use L'Hospital here because like we're having infinity by infinity form. So like if we use L'Hospital, like we'll be getting limit t tends to infinity 1 by 2t into e to the power t square. Now if we substitute as t tends to infinity, this tends to 0. So that's how like we are getting this as 0 plus 2. So the final limit value will be 2. So it's a lengthy problem, but like if we don't identify this part, so it will become like even more lengthier. So the answer for this 13th question will be 2. So that's it for this video. We'll meet in the